The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, great. Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Cohen, working on behalf of the U.S. Department of Energy's Better Buildings Initiative. I'd like to welcome you to the October edition of the Better Buildings webinar series. In the series, we profile the best practices of Better Buildings Challenge and Alliance partners and other organizations working to improve energy efficiency in buildings. So we got a good one for you today. We're going to be focusing on the important role of communications as part of your energy efficiency strategy. We'll hear how two Better Buildings Challenge partners have elevated their communication strategies to gain technical expertise and grow their company's energy savings. As part of an effective portfolio-wide energy savings strategy, communications is the tool to document significant achievements and inspire your organization to follow your lead, finding new innovations and methods to save energy and save money. So we're calling it Shout It from the Mountaintops, communications, shout it out loud. So here we go, it's panel time. Let's look at that panel slide. Ooh, that's a good panel right there. All right, so let me start by introducing myself. I'll be the moderator for today's webinar, and I'll talk a little bit about how Better Buildings Challenge approaches communication strategies, and I'm going to share a little bit about our first swap, the first building swap. So I'm one of the founders of C+C. We're a social marketing and PR firm based in Seattle with offices in Boston and DC and Portland, Oregon. Our main focus is doing good work with clients who help communities. And we've been working with the Better Buildings Initiative, boy, I think it's for 4 or 5 years now. So we have from Hilton Worldwide, Max Verstraat. Sorry, Max, I messed it up already, but we'll get there. Max is the Vice President of Corporate Responsibility and ADA Compliance at Hilton Worldwide. He is responsible for ensuring the company's more than 4,700 properties meet the highest standards in the industry. Max oversees key initiatives to help create opportunities for youth, preserve the environment, strengthen communities where Hilton operates. Max has over 15 years experience in the hospitality industry and 3 years in sustainability and corporate responsibility at Hilton. And he was responsible for compliance with the ADA consent decree with the U.S. Department of Justice. Prior to joining Hilton in 2005, Max worked in hotel operations at various properties in the U.S., France, and Mexico. I've spent a lot of time, close time with Max, and I can tell you that when it comes to hospitality and energy efficiency and sustainability in the hospitality space, Max is your guy. Max has a master's degree in IT, and he speaks English, French, Spanish, and some German. So we'll hear from Max. He was also one of the MVPs of swap number 1. And then from Whole Foods there at the bottom of our little slide is Aaron Daly. Aaron is the Global Director of Energy Management at Whole Foods Market. He is a recognized energy management professional committed to finding and developing profitable climate change solutions. Aaron has consulted with local, state, and national governments, Fortune 1000, and other companies on energy management best practices. So in his current role at Whole Foods, Aaron oversees the company's programs in energy efficiency, renewable on-site power generation, and energy analytics. He also works with colleagues to improve energy and resource management in new and existing buildings across the global portfolio. Like Max, when it comes to the grocery business and the energy efficiency in those stores, Aaron is the man. So just a little bit more about Aaron. Aaron's the founding board member and secretary of the North American Sustainable Refrigeration Council and currently the chair of Utilities Progress Group. Let's see here. Aaron's a certified energy manager and holds a Master of Science in Energy Management from Sonoma State University. So guys, thank you for being with us today. A couple of quick logistics. Before we get started with our presentation, I want to remind our audience that we'll hold questions until near the end. I don't think we're going to go right up into the end time, so there's going to be plenty of time for questions. We love questions. There's a lot of excitement and joy in this topic, and so we want to share that with you. So go ahead and send them through the chat box on your webinar screen throughout the session, and we'll try and get to many of those as we can. The session is going to be archived and posted to the web for reference, and I think we're going to email it out to you. Okay, so that's housekeeping for now. Let's get started. I'm going to give you a couple of quick slides about better buildings, communications. All right, one more. There we go. So our deal with DOA Better Buildings Communications is all about partners. Partners are doing tremendous work, and when we think about what we want to do on the communication side is we want to talk about the kind of work the partners are doing, the successes of their projects, how they are delivering energy efficiency in their markets. The other thing is we really want to focus on the real people, and the professionals that are behind energy efficiency. And we also believe that we want to highlight leaders so that other partners within the program can learn, can ask questions, because a big part of what we do on the communication side is talk about lessons learned. And for us, that's a real important piece of this. So just in that side box, you can see the pie there. You know, these are stories that make newspaper headlines, impressive savings, compelling visuals, new, unique, innovative technologies, always looking for those, high-profile projects, and also sort of how things can work internally. And you're going to hear from both Aaron and Max about sort of internal communications around energy efficiency. And finally, you know, in the end of the day, most of the stories and most of our communications is on the real people behind the projects and behind the buildings. And so when we think about communicating, we try and really highlight the work that those people are doing, because ultimately our partners are heroes, and that's what we try and get across. All right, next slide. So I kind of hit on this a little bit. I'll just say it again. We're always looking for opportunities. If you watch the first swap, you'll hear us talk about opportunities. We're always looking for places where we can find more energy efficiency. And the other thing is, we are always trying to take the technical and make it human. You know, we understand that sometimes the energy efficiency piece of the puzzle can be seen as sort of nerdy. We embrace it. Like, we want to make that cool. And that's something you see in the swap. All right, next slide. Great. So how did the swap come about? So the basic idea here for folks on the phone who may or may not know what we've done, we decided that we wanted to show the actual process of finding opportunities within a specific building, and we wanted to create a little bit of drama and a little bit of understanding around it. So we patterned the Better Buildings Challenge swap on Wife Swap. So for those of you who don't know, it's a former reality show where the city wife goes to live in the country wife goes to live in the city, and it's shot reality show style, and hijinks ensues. So in this case, what we wanted to do was have two of our partners swap buildings. And so in this case, Whole Foods and Hilton stepped forward, and so a team from Whole Foods went into Hilton in San Francisco, and the Hilton team, led by Max, went into a Whole Foods also in San Francisco. Let's take a look at the next slide. So we put this out in 3 webisodes, and the first season had amazing results. We got about 430,000 YouTube views. We were just featured in the Wall Street Journal, which actually took the actual raw footage that we shot and repurposed it into a second report. We were covered in Bloomberg and The Guardian. Media impressions were about 45 million. It was one of those online pieces where people were genuinely charmed by it. And I think due in large part to the fact that Matt and Aaron's team brought a lot of passion and genuinely pushed hard to find opportunities in each of the buildings. Next slide. Well, here you can kind of see a little bit of the coverage. But again, I think one of the things about the first swap, that's right, there's going to be more, there's going to be a second, is that we were able to show finding energy efficiency opportunities in real time. So in many ways, as someone described to me once, we were able to show sort of the unshowable. And I think we did it in a way that was a little bit more dramatic because we used the reality show genre, so it made it a little bit more fun. All right, one more slide. Oh, Fast Company, Political, Clean Technica. And then there was quite a bit of Twitter action, and part of what you'll see moving forward here is that both of the teams with Hilton and Whole Foods partnered with DOE to push out these stories to engage their audiences. So that sort of pushed us even further. Next slide. Awesome. Okay. So let's hear from Max from Hilton on their perspective on the swap experience, what they learned from Whole Foods, how they leverage swap for their own communications efforts. Max, take it away.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for the kind introduction earlier, although I'm a little bit disappointed that you did not include part-time actor specializing in the energy drama genre. So hopefully, hopefully in the next one we can include that as part of the bio. But you know, great to have great to be on this webinar. Thanks for having us. Real quick on Hilton, so we're over 4,700 hotels, like you mentioned, across 104 countries, and we'll be turning 100 years young in 2019. So energy really tends to be our second operating cost after labor. So everybody can imagine we've been focused on this and energy efficiency for some time. And it's also a key aspect of our Travel with Purpose, which is our corporate responsibility strategy, in order to reduce our environmental footprint. So if we go to my first slide, please. So really this was a unique opportunity. I'm sure like everybody on the session today is aware, it's really difficult to talk about energy efficiency in a cool, sexy, different way. So it's funny you mentioned this because I have this in my talking points as well. But in the first call when you and DOE said, "Have you seen the show Wife Swap?" From there we knew that this would be special and would definitely be a different and unique way for us to talk about our energy efficiency story, because we have a great story. However, we've never really been able to draw that type of media success like you've already shown. We've reduced energy efficiency by 17% in 7 years. We have the largest ISO 50001 energy management certification. We were the first to certify a commercial building to DOE's Superior Energy Performance Program. So really a great story to share. However, we never had that channel, that program to share it through that would really captivate the audience. So this was unique. It was a first. So from the get-go, we felt this was going to be a home run. One of the other things that really made it interesting for us were the partners involved. So of course, we've been working with DOE. They've been great partners of ours for many years through programs such as the Better Buildings Challenge and through their SCP program for the past couple of years. But the opportunity to work with Whole Foods Market was also, a great opportunity for us. I mean, Whole Foods is a recognized leader in sustainability, so being able to associate our brand with theirs, was a great opportunity for us as well. So we know we had great content. We knew we had great partners. The form was really, really seemed to be great. So we expected this to be a communication success. And boy, our expectations were really met and gone above and beyond with all the numbers that you just shared. Next slide, please. So quite honestly, the one thing we weren't really sure about was, opening our back of house to, somebody that we typically do not open our back of house to. I mean, as cheesy as it sounds, that's where, the magic of hospitality happens. I think that you see some of that on the videos when you look at how we do our employee huddles, for instance, in our back of house before, our employees. In the video, we have our housekeeping team, before they go out on the floors and have that guest interaction. So, we weren't sure about that. But, once we were, filming, going through the process, and having been through it, it was actually really, not only refreshing to have a different set of eyes looking, into our engine, if you will, but we had great learnings from it. There's just a couple of examples that I've listed here, but the Whole Foods team led by Aaron was great. I mean, great energy expertise. They gave us some great recommendations, which, we've started implementing already. So the hotel in San Francisco has done part of the recommendations. We're estimating savings from what we've done already to be at about 3.5% reduction in energy consumption. We still have some things that we're looking to implementing. Once we're done implementing all of the recommendations from the program, we should be somewhere between 10 to 15% in energy savings as a result of this program. So not only is this, just a huge communication success, right? We saw great media pickup. There's also just a great success, just from an operational, pragmatic energy efficiency, if you will. Next slide. So, and by the way, as I think about it, I also wanted to ask you, maybe this can be one of the Q&A for later, but when you talk about wife swap, you mentioned suburban wife, urban wife. I'm kind of curious to know, when you guys were thinking about this, who you thought Hilton and Whole Foods were, if we were the suburban of the urban wife. I don't know what type of impression you have of our brand. So again, a great media pickup. You showed all the numbers. Over 400,000 YouTube views. What the SWAT videos, I think one of the great signs is, the SWAT videos first came out in February, and this 8 months later, we're talking about it and gathering a really nice audience to do so, right? So think about maybe movies that came out in February. I don't think that there's a lot of press out there on those movies, except maybe for, DVDs coming out. So hopefully we have a DVD coming out soon. What was great for us is that there was so much media pickup that it really didn't require a lot of work. And this is thanks to the great work done by C+C and done by the DOE. But really all we had to do was turn on our social media channels and share, all the great content that was just being generated through our Twitter feed, our Instagram accounts, our Facebook pages, and that's very easily done. We got some great interviews and articles from top press. You mentioned The Guardian, The Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal as recent as, I think it was mid-September. So just seeing some great press coming out of this, again, 7-8 months afterwards, just goes to show how successful the program is and how successful it was as a company for us to be able to share our energy story and position us as innovative and leaders, which we believe we are in the world of energy efficiency. Next slide, please. And this is one of the things that's key to us in our company is internal communications, and by that we mean communicating with our employees, our team members. So across our hotels, managed, franchise hotels, and our corporate offices, there are over 350,000 team members out there, and we strongly believe that in order to be leading in energy efficiency, and therefore, of course, in our preserving environment work, we need to have every single one of those team members be a champion of our efforts, be a sustainability champion. So we need them to be aware and engaged of all the stuff we have going on around energy efficiency. That's really, it's our team members' engagement and awareness that's going to drive our results. So again, we took content from the swap, and this is a picture of our intranet site, and that's our housekeeping team at the hotel. And we push some of this content through our internal channels, our intranet site. We've got team member newsletters, we've got community websites, and again, the reaction was great. Team members loved it. People made fun of me here at the corporate offices, but team members were really proud of Hilton and the company they work for to take such a unique and innovative approach to energy efficiency, right? Because our teams are on site working on these things, but this kind of gives a whole new dimension to the work they do every day. So the responses we got were amazing. It's almost more it makes everything more valuable when it's coming from your own team members. So again, this was a great program for us to drive that team member engagement and awareness at our hotels. And I can tell you that we've got engineering teams out there on the field that now want to replicate this, right? So we want to take like an engineering team from a hotel. They want to go to another hotel, walk that hotel, find things, for that hotel, and have the team from the other hotel walk through, their space as well. So people are, as a result of this, kind of like taking it and making their own within our hotels, which is great.
And for those of you on the phone, if you're looking, if you see the little on the internal communications, right above February 19th is where your very own presenter, Max, is in the picture.
So that's how we leverage this program, Brian.
Max, thank you. We're gonna talk about the internal thing. That was great, and I love the fact that you've established a genre of reality show acting on an energy efficiency series. I feel like you really got some good here. Okay.
The link to my Wikipedia and IMDb page.
That's great. That's great. Okay. Thank you, Max. Really appreciate it. That's perfect. If we could pop to the next slide. We want to just do a quick reminder to folks, send in those questions through the webinar chat box. We're collecting those for our Q&A period at the end of the session. We're going to, like I said, try and go short here so we have plenty of time to answer questions and get to all the stuff that you guys might be interested in. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Aaron from Whole Foods. Want to hear about their key learnings from the swap experience, what they learned from Hilton, and what energy efficiency improvements they've made since then. Aaron, go for it.
All right. Thank you, Brian, and thanks to everyone. It has been a real pleasure and a lot of fun for all of us at Whole Foods Market to work with you all, with C+C and DOE, and with the folks at Hilton. I'd say I have to echo 100% Max being the superstar on the ground, and we really appreciate all of the attention to that you all paid to helping us make our business better. So let's go on to the first slide here. So I think that the question that comes to my mind that I would think I would be asking if I were interested in this webinar and in the topic at large is sort of why do this? We absolutely have too much on our plate already as a company, and juggling a lot of very important initiatives, and why take time out of our day to to do something like this? And I think when we as a company looked at it, we thought we're really driven as a company by our core values, and I've written down a couple of those here. Obviously environmental stewardship and energy efficiency are both hand in hand, and likewise working in partnership with others is another key core value of ours as a company. So I think like many other companies out there, we see a good alignment there between what we're trying to do and this swap here, and it's been a great opportunity for us to not only practice what we preach, but I think preach what we practice. You know, it's difficult to get the word out there about energy efficiency. You know, I think energy efficiency doesn't score very high on the fun index, generally speaking, and this swap has been a game changer in that respect, a way for us to really you know, make this a fun experience for everyone, and for us to motivate folks both internally to our organization and folks elsewhere. And I think my final point here is what a great opportunity to provide some focus on a very, very important topic. As Max said in regards to Hilton, energy is one of the top expense items for our business, as it is for Hilton, and one that deserves significant attention. And yet, as I mentioned earlier, there are always you know, a million things that take precedence, and it's fantastic with a program like this to have the level of focus that we can to pour onto this topic. So we're real grateful for that, and it's been, as I mentioned, a really fun experience. So next slide. So Hilton really didn't have any good suggestions for us at all. I'll let that one sink in for a second. No, quite to the contrary. Hilton had a lot of really good suggestions, and it was only slightly painful at times having their eyes scrutinizing all aspects of what we do, both on our sales floor, where obviously all of our guests and customers get to see every day, but also in our back of house, in our mechanical rooms and other things. And so, you know, that was often very interesting and led to some great discussions. They had some, you know, simple things to suggest, maintenance items, if you will, such as, hey, that gasket looks like it needs replacing, which is always important to have pointed out to us. And then some other things, you know, some larger capital projects, heat exchangers in our HVAC, or control strategies such as you know, daylight harvesting, or changing our schedules for refrigeration, or other things like that. And I think that the thing that stuck out to our team the most, both in terms of feedback we got about our store and how we engage with our team members in our store, but also in being and witnessing Hilton and seeing what they do in terms of team member engagement. I mean, it truly was a sight to see, and something that the Hilton folks should be very proud of, and something that you know, we're definitely taking back and have been having a number of discussions around how we can develop you know, similar programs to engage with folks. We feel lucky as a company to have incredibly engaged team members and team members who really take these goals to heart, and yet there's always a lot of room to grow. So we're looking to continue to build enthusiasm for this. So next slide. We are incredibly excited about the coverage we received, and again, just shouting it out from the rooftops is really what it's all about here. It's been a lot of fun to share this. I mean, I think, you know, getting back to the fun index, energy efficiency is something we desperately need to focus on, and having this format to be able to put it out there has really helped us to be able to share the message in a fun way where we can engage with people, and that has absolutely been the case. So not only have we been sharing it, but we've got a format where our team members can continue to share it with each other and with others, and so it has had a, you know, an effect, you know, building momentum upon itself. So we've also been doing internal communications, as I have here on this slide, an example of with our internal media platform, and we've been sharing it across our stores, across our regional and global leadership and offices, and we have had a lot of very good feedback. You know, one just sort of meta comment on this is we have an incredible amount of stories as a company to tell about, you know, obviously many offerings, about our stores in different contexts and other things, and our sustainability voice, as important as it is, has a very busy environment within which to be heard. And again, just getting back to how this message is put together, it's just a really great way to engage with people, and we really saw that within our company. So we saw a lot of people saying, you know, what is this about? What's this swap business? This is a lot of fun. And as Max pointed out, plenty of opportunities to tease the folks involved. And I'll say nothing more about that right now. But you know, externally, it was kind of a different story. Rather than having to push the message out there, you know, to let folks know about it, the messaging has just been rolling in. And you know, whether that's press releases or just through communications from DOE initially, or you know, all of the follow-on that's come up, you know, with this Wall Street Journal article that just came out recently, or all of the many other media outlets that picked it up. So our efforts in that regard have really been just to piggyback on the media outlets that are out there and just continue to share that message. And you know, as has been illustrated earlier, we've gotten really good results from that, and so everyone's incredibly happy about it. So on to the next one. So since the swap, I unfortunately don't have a picture here of the work we've been doing in the store, but as Wall Street Journal highlighted recently, we have completed some projects in response to the swap and to the scrutinized view from the folks at Hilton. And our first major project, retrofitting glass doors on our open display cases, has resulted in significant savings to the tune of 15% or so, and has been a real success. The team members love it. We've gotten really good feedback from our customers in the store, and it's just the first step in the right direction. We're also currently working on a back-of-house LED lighting upgrade, which was you know, painfully pointed out during the swap as an opportunity that we might want to look at. You know, it's not like we had old, you know, incredibly inefficient lighting there, but it was just a really obvious opportunity that we could take advantage of. And again, just getting the opportunity to highlight that store, being able to walk through in slow motion with people with fresh eyes. What a great opportunity to point out things that would otherwise go by unnoticed. So the back-of-house lighting upgrade is ongoing, and when we get done with that, we plan to do some commissioning and address some of those things like daylight harvesting and you know, scheduling and things like that were pointed out as control upgrades. So in addition to that, and some of the things I have here on this slide, we've been taking these learnings from the swap and integrating them into some of the other programs that we have going on throughout our company. And I just put 3 examples here, but our Market Zero program is another store in San Francisco where we are aiming to be the first net zero energy grocery store in the United States. And as one might expect, with as much energy as a grocery store consumes, we really have to pull out all the stops to make that happen. And so we've been looking back over our notes from suggestions from the swap, and as well as other sources to get that together. Another example is, you know, the refrigeration is really our largest load within a grocery store, and not only that, but can you know, have really negative environmental consequences if not managed properly. So we've had an opportunity in our store in Santa Clara, California, to test out advanced environmentally friendly refrigerants and new concepts around that, and drive energy efficiency at the same time. And it's another thing, we're sort of piggybacking on those very same opportunities to get that message out there, both about what we're doing, but also about what others can do and sharing in that, using the same messaging outlets that we've been able to garner through the swap. And then finally, once we get to the end of energy efficiency, and I don't think the end ever really exists, but once we feel like we've really poured our heart and souls into a building and gotten every extra kilowatt hour out of that building that we can, we're taking the opportunity to put solar panels on the rooftops, at least in as many places as we feel we can, and that is decrease, 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 and then once we get to that bottom point, okay, well, let's generate as much as we can on site so we can rely as little on the grid as possible. So that's a program we've been working on and we're very proud of. And again, we're taking some of those same media outlets to spread the word. An example of one of them, a recent case study from RELA or the Solar Foundation went out recently, and you can find that online. But again, we've just seen an incredible pickup in interest in our sustainability programs at large through engagement in the swap. And so just a huge thanks to folks, and yeah, I look forward to questions.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. That was great. All right, so I'm just going to take 2 seconds here to talk a little bit about how Better Buildings Challenge can help you tell your energy efficiency story. We support the great work of all of our partners are doing by touting their energy efficiency successes. Here, flip one more slide, if you would, Kendall. So we're doing a lot of consumer business trade pitching. We have tremendous digital assets, and that includes the video, tons of social, and then we are trying to do as many partner recognition events as possible. If anyone on this call has a great story about energy efficiency or even a medium story, please send it to me. I also want to shout out to Amy Conisberg, who does a lot of this communications work. She works with us in DC and has been a big part of this success. Okay, now for the moment. I know everyone's been excited about SWAP 2. Let's see the next slide. All right, so what's happened is we are going to do Air Force Academy versus Naval Academy. The trailer is up on YouTube, so go ahead and you can take a look. We are planning on rolling this out at the end of November. We've already done the shoot. I was at the Air Force Academy, and it was amazing, and a totally different set of challenges and a totally different set of opportunities. So the other thing is that we were able to engage midshipmen and cadets in the teams. So there are some younger folks who are going to pass on the learnings and the knowledge to sort of the next generation, which is pretty exciting for us as well. So keep your eyes peeled for Season 2 of SWAP coming at the end of November. All right, we're going to do some questions. Aaron and Max, are you ready? And here is the first question. All right. Could you please speak to the process of bringing this idea up internally and the folks that needed to be involved in the conversation, and then proposing this idea to an external partner? Well, let's start first there. Max, can you talk a little bit about how things went when you brought this up internally?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, from the beginning there was big interest with the caveat, right, of, again, opening that back door, back of house to the Department of Energy, to cameras, to people from Whole Foods markets. So that's the piece that needed a little bit of, I guess, work on my end to get people comfortable with it. But once we got past that, I wouldn't even call it a hurdle, but that question, everything was very easy. Of course, we work closely with our operations team, Randy and Brian, who are on camera with me, are both part of our property operations engineering teams. So partner with them in all of this, and our communications teams to make sure that, everything, of course, met all sort of internal approvals, and then to, push the messaging externally and internally from a senior leadership perspective. So, our company's leadership, they were extremely happy with the content. I mean, again, with this Wall Street Journal article coming out a couple weeks ago, I still heard back from, our Chief Human Resources Officer, so, number 2 or 3 in the company, saying just how great the pickup has been. So just, a small question at the beginning, but, working with comms, working with operations, and then just our senior leadership group really happy with the result and the approach.
Max, did you guys feel, Aaron, I'm going to ask you the same question, so just get ready. But Max, did you guys feel that, like, by opening up sort of that back of house, that it was just better? I mean that particular hotel, it was, I think, a 2,000 room hotel, so it was big to begin with, but it felt like when you took us into the back of house and we saw the line staff, room staff, and that employee meeting, and when we saw how big that boiler room was, and it seemed like that part just made for better video. It just made it interesting.
I think so, yeah, because it's that unknown for everybody else, right? And a lot of the things that we do happen in the back of house, right? All of our preparation. When you think about energy efficiency, a lot of our projects, a lot of our best practices happen in the back of house. So from a opportunities perspective, it was great to open this back of house, but then also just from a interest, external interest perspective, I think that, seeing how, this is a pretty old building, but seeing how a 2,000 room hotel looks like and operates in the back of house made this a lot more interesting. So absolutely.
All right, Aaron, how about for you? So when you guys first brought up the idea internally, can you talk to the process and the folks that sort of needed to be pulled in internally to get the idea, to get it go?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure if our experience in this case will be real useful for others or not, but I'm going to throw it out there. We are, as a company, incredibly enthusiastic about the great work that DOE is doing through Better Buildings. And as such, I think our starting place in thinking about it is, we want to jump on board with just about anything that Better Buildings programs throw out there. And obviously, we have to take a look at any program, its own merits, and we did so in this regard. But as I said before, we as a company, I believe, do an amazing job getting the word out there about the good work that we're doing on many levels. And energy efficiency is probably one of the more challenging areas, and one that doesn't necessarily kind of bubble to the top, if you will, of our messaging agenda. And yet, it's so important both for us, for our team members, for our investors, and more importantly for the communities that we serve, that we work on these issues. And so this was an opportunity, in my view, for us to tell that story, and both to share with people what we're already doing and what we're committed to as a company, but also to get in and work on some new things and to get the word out there about that. And again, just coming back to it, to have fun in the process. So how did we make it happen? I think, the idea when presented to us was obviously very intriguing, and yet, as I mentioned early on in my remarks, the concern we always have as a company is we've always got a million things to do, and anything that actually gets in there and turns a wrench is going to save energy. And if we're going to be spending time, socializing ideas or getting the word out or other things, it may not count as much in some people's view. So we definitely had to sell the idea to some folks, but I think for the reasons that Max outlined, it was a very compelling argument for why we should spend our time on this. And just again, I mean, the opportunity to work with DOE and highlight our best practices, the opportunity to work with the folks at Hilton was compelling to us in the beginning, and the opportunity to get the good word out there about what we're doing. So our PR folks had a big role to play in getting that message out there and selling the message internally. But likewise, our sustainable facilities teams, as we like to call them, we're fired up from the get-go about it. And as Max pointed out, I think that there were some significant concerns about having cameras rolling in our back of house. We've always got a million moving parts and a lot of people moving around. It's very busy. We're performing to very tight timelines and things, and so there's not a lot of room for error. And having a bunch of people trumping around with cameras and things was not people weren't too enthusiastic about that. But at the end of the day, I think we saw the value, and so what I will say is having a C-level awareness of what we're doing has been really valuable, both in helping to spread the word internally, as well as this is such a big this is an initiative that's gotten so much attention, and really I think it's all positive. And so our C-level folks have been able to harness that in communications and things as well. So I think those conversations all need to be the groundwork. Let's see. I think you had asked one other question, Brian. Perhaps you could reiterate it to me, though.
I was asking what are the areas that you guys were reticent about opening up to the cameras, but ultimately sort of made it a good show. But you sort of spoke to the having us running around in the kitchens and stuff. It just some of those things it just made for good video. Yeah,
and I think that's exactly it. I mean, whether it's an opportunity to shine a bright light on what we are actually doing, we get customers pouring over our sales floors every day of the week. If something's wrong there, we know about it, and we know about it quick. The folks in the back of the house, we rely on doing a good job ourselves and not having the scrutiny, if you will, of the public eye. The camera changes all of that. We've got people walking around who aren't usually operating in our environment, and we've got cameras rolling, and we've got questions being asked that are honest questions about how we do what we do and why we're doing what we're doing, and a lot of good suggestions pointed out. So it gets real and real fast. But I would say that it's only to our benefit at the end of the day. Certainly something that we had some concerns around, as I mentioned. But I think it makes for a much more interesting tale. As Max pointed out, there's a lot more energy being consumed in our back of house. There's a lot more opportunity for us to affect how we use energy in our back of house. And there's a lot more intrigue in the sense that here are the internal operations of an organization that you may interact with a lot on a regular basis, but may not get to see that side of things. And so I think it's been able to provide a much more interesting tale for folks watching the swap videos. It's been it's engaged our teams a lot more because we've been a lot more paying a lot closer attention, as it were, to all the details. And I think it's been a lot more interesting of a tale in general, and for the Hilton folks as well. So all good there.
So there's a question in here about social media, which I think is good. And so the question is, did either Hilton or Whole Foods do anything over the top with social media? But I think you guys, like you said, you kind of turned it on and we pushed it out. But there's a second question, and I like this one. So I'm going to start with Max because you kind of touched on it. Do you guys have any thoughts on how to leverage social media, both internally or externally, to drive energy efficiency?
Wow, to drive energy efficiency. This is where I wish I were a bigger social media user. You know, I think it boils down to awareness and sharing of best practices, right? There's so many people on social media today. You know, really, this is what the way to drive messages is through social media. You know, the press releases are not what they used to be. You know, people are looking for sound bites. They're looking for things in whatever Twitter is, 140 characters or less. So I think that the opportunity to drive, you know, energy efficiency through social media is just pushing those messages, pushing those best practices to, you know, increase awareness and engagement when it comes to, you know, being energy efficient. So for us, through our channels, we have a lot of people following us. We have team members following us, you know, internally, externally. So I guess I'd say just pushing the message, drive awareness, engagement.
Aaron, how about you?
Yeah, I can add to that a little bit. I mean, certainly I think our experience is similar, but I would say we experience what I would call like a positive feedback cycle associated with using social media in this context. You know, whether it's you're getting out there and sharing your ideas, sharing what's working, sharing challenges or questions. Social media speeds up the conversation, and not just speeds it up, but it broadcasts that conversation in a way that traditional media formats just do not work with. And so what we've ended up seeing some real tangible results with is, you know, we'll throw out something that we're working on. It will get into the hands of somebody who's got a related idea, and those folks will pitch that idea right back to us. And that kind of ecosystem of conversation around energy efficiency can happen in social media. I mean, we can have multiple conversations like that in the course of a day. And so I think as energy managers, we get exposed to not just the ideas of the folks knocking on our door with the latest and greatest widget, but the collective ideas of everyone engaged in this topic and in the interests of our organization. So I would say leveraging social media has been a key part in driving being on the cutting edge of energy efficiency. And just to that other question, though, Brian, that was brought up, I mean, we didn't, to my knowledge, do anything really out there in terms of social media communication, but a key strategy that we as a company rely on in social media across the board is each one of our stores has their own social media platforms, you know, whether that's Facebook or Twitter or other. And so that message, if we've got a message that resonates in multiple different communities, it's one that can spread in a lot of different ways. And we can have a lot of conversation that I think if we were just relying on our sort of global media platform to get that message out, it might not resonate as well with folks locally. So I think that's been a platform that's worked really well for us, and one that's worked in this case as well.
That is great. Guys, there's a question here that I like that came over. What's DOE's better building criteria for choosing inviting organizations to participate in SWAP? And I'd like to say we're doing military for number 2. We've talked. We're doing cities for 3. So we've got a lot of. We're already in process on those. But the bottom line is that we are looking for organizations that have a good story to tell, that have great visuals, that are willing to be transparent and able to sort of engage in a little bit of the back and forth, because part of what happened is, for example, Hilton went into the Whole Foods kitchen and found some opportunities and called it out, and the Whole Foods team did the same. So we need people who are comfortable with some friendly but healthy exchange. And then, you know, and we need that transparency piece. So we are looking already, having conversations for swap number 4. Okay, folks, we are about 4 minutes to go. I have a couple of more house cleaning items. So on slides, let's go to next webinar real quick here. Better build going upstairs. Yes. We hope you'll plan to attend the next webinar on Tuesday, November 1st from 3 to 4, titled Put a Meter on It, the whys and how of sub-metering energy and water use in buildings. Get the lowdown from our expert panelists and best practices, benefits, and current costs to meter energy, water, and data centers in your buildings. You will probably not hear from burgeoning reality energy efficiency stars, Aaron and Max, on that call. So, you know, this was your moment with them. Also, one more slide here. Coming up, we've got the summit. So mark your calendars. That is going to be in DC, May 15th through the 17th. This is an opportunity to meet with Better Buildings partners, explore and share innovative strategies, emerging trends, high impact technologies, and energy and water efficiency. We'd love for you to join us, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to do some kind of a communications panel, which was really fun last year, and we'll talk a little bit more on that. Okay, great. So last slide of the day here. Oh yes, so this is Energy Efficiency Day. So this is second to last slide. So we're going to be doing the Twitter party on Energy Efficiency Day from 1 to 2 EDT, and you can follow on that hashtag. Okay, so we'll be emailing you the audio, and I think we'll probably be sending you info on the last on SWAP 2, which is coming up, and I hope you guys will all take a look at it. Please email any of us. We'd love to talk with you about SWAP, communications, Better Buildings Challenge, ways that we might tell your story, come to you. And so with that, I'd like to thank our panelists very much for taking the time to be with us today. Like I said, contact our presenters directly with questions if you weren't able to get your question during the Q&A period. You can go ahead and check out our website for more info. I love people who email me, so go ahead, shoot me an email. Max, Aaron, many thanks, and for all the team at JDM and C+C and DOE that helped put this on, we really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.